Now, business in Nairobi Central Business District ground to a halt as protesters flooded the streets to mark the first anniversary of the June 25th, 2024 protests, which claimed at least 10 lives.
Well, NTV's senior reporter Ibrahim Karanja now joins us live from the junction of Kimathi Street and Kenyatta Avenue just to provide a vivid account of the day's events and the unfolding situation. Ibrahim, good evening. Just give us a sense of what is happening so far right now outside the Nation Center in the Nairobi CBD. Give us also an idea of what really transpired throughout the day.
Well, Zainab, what is going on right now in CBD is largely what was ongoing during the day here, minus the protests, minus the running battles. Businesses are still shut. Usually in Nairobi CBD by this time, there are several businesses which are usually open, and you would see even public service vehicles, matatus, moving around. But right now, that is not happening. People are walking, trying to find their ways home. Some of the employers trying to provide transport for their employees who are working during the day. I think I've been standing here for about 30 minutes or so now, and I've only seen one matatu getting out of town, and that is that matatu passing right now, getting out of town. So really, businesses were affected throughout. A handful of people in the streets, mostly security guards who are guarding various businesses here, but everyone else is home. This particular, even Nairobi is silent, and this was how it was business-wise and commercially during the day. Aside from the running battles, shops were closed, banks were closed, and any other economic activity that usually happens in Nairobi were closed, and that's why we prepared the following story for our viewer. Nairobi was brought to a literal standstill Wednesday as the country marked 1 year since the deadly anti-finance bill protests of June 25th, 2024, which left more than 60 people dead. From the earliest hours, police mounted huge roadblocks on all major highways into the city center, halting public service vehicles and private cars alike. Commuters were forced to alight and walk long distances into the city center, while many were turned away entirely. At the start, the city center and its outskirts were silent. Businesses, shops and banks remained closed as Nairobians appeared to be observing the public holiday declared by Gen Z protesters. The usually bustling streets were abandoned, occupied only by protesters and police, as tension hung thick in the air. Parliament buildings, the site of last year's bloodshed, were completely sealed off, surrounded by razor wire and a solid wall of riot police. Protesters had hoped to reach Parliament and lay wreaths in memory of those killed, but the police cordon proved impenetrable, blocking them from meters and streets away. Only opposition leaders Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa and a handful of opposition lawmakers were allowed through early in the morning. After prayers at the Holy Family Basilica, they laid wreaths at Parliament moments before turmoil took over the rest of the city.
It was out of a sense of duty and a sense of nationhood that we declared this a public holiday. We didn't want to gain cheap political mileage because we are not the type to do so. It is out of a deep sense of commitment to this country and the welfare and the future of this country that we made those announcements.
The least, you kill these children. They were unarmed. Today they are coming unarmed to commemorate, to remember their brothers, their sisters, their fallen colleagues. The least you can do is allow them to commemorate, allow the families to mourn.
Throughout the day, the city center became a battleground. Protesters clashed with police on major streets such as Kimathi, Moi, Kenyatta, Koinange and Wabera. Tear gas, water cannons and blank ammunition were used to disperse crowds, but the protesters kept surging back, determined to make their voices heard. Protesters attempted to advance towards their target, Parliament, a couple of times, and some more groups tried to reach State House via the Arboretum, only to be repelled by police. In the outskirts of the capital, along major roads, confrontations erupted. Running battles between protesters and police turned the highways into flashpoints with burning barricades and clouds of tear gas. As darkness fell, Nairobi remained tense. The scars of last year's violence still roar, echoing through the streets 365 days on, and the struggle for justice appears far from over. After hours of running battles that paralyzed transportation and commerce nationwide, the unrest finally subsided at around 4 p.m., leaving city streets empty. The protesters believe their message is home, and that this time, unlike last year's protests, they hope things will change for the better. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV, Nairobi. Well, that is basically an update of how it was during the day. Like I mentioned earlier, this particular evening, not much activities ongoing. More matatus coming into town, perhaps indicating that it is opening up from wherever they are, because there are various factors affecting their accessibility to town. We are told in some areas where in the outskirts of town still roads are blocked and such. So by them flowing in, it means that it could be opening up from where they are coming from. But basically, that is an overview of how Nairobi was here. Zainab and Dan.
All right, Ibra, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I'm just curious to know whether the streets, because usually we see a lot of debris from all the damage that's been done during the looting, as well as some of the stones that were being pelted across. Do we still have that on the streets right now? All right, Ibrahim, I'm just asking whether the state of the streets, because often we'll find debris from the looting and from just the mayhem that happens. So I'm just curious, do we have some of those monuments or huge stones or rocks on the roads, or have some of them been moved?
Well done. The boulders, the rocks that were on the roads are still there. Actually, it's quite difficult for drivers to navigate in the streets as they're driving. But it actually indicates that it's going to be a long night for county council employees who will be trying to clear the streets overnight to make sure that Nairobi is hospitable tomorrow morning. But as we speak, right outside Kimathi, on Kimathi Street, right outside Nation Center, the streets are sort of blocked by boulders, even on Kenyatta Avenue. These are things I can see from where I'm standing. So, and you can see how drivers are moving as they're trying to get out of town, trying to sort of navigate their way and find a safe way to get out of town. So the picture as was during the day is how it still is in terms of blockaging of roads and making it difficult to access the CBD.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Karanja, who's reporting for us live from the Nairobi CBD, which was pretty much one of the main boiling points when it comes to the chaos that happened in the course of the day.